Hello and welcome to the Midnight Launch Show. I'm David, and I've got my friend over here. Who are you, friend?
Oh, my name's Dan.
All right, David and Dan, and today we are going to be talking about video games, about cardboard, I guess. Who knew? And about things related to both of those. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got quite a few things to cover, but before we start, Dan, what have you been playing recently?
Oh God, I have found myself falling back into the World of Warcraft.
The World of
Just
Warcraft, huh?
yeah, the World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I
It's
think.
uh, it's been about a 6 month hiatus or so. Um,
So, what brought you back?
I think mostly just the final LFR being opened up.
Okay.
I'm not a hardcore raider by any means, and I can't be bothered to try and set aside time during the
Oh my
week.
God, you're such a casual. Oh God. Okay, so the new LFR comes out. For those of you that might not be familiar with it, LFR is looking for raid, and it's basically the easiest of easy modes for the World of Warcraft raids. I'm almost compare it more to maybe like sightseeing than actually
Yeah,
doing the
yeah.
raid, because you can pretty much ignore all the mechanics and you get to see the cutscenes from the raid and all that. But other than that, you can pretty much just stand there and get carried through the entire thing. So have you
Except
finished
for
the raid?
Sargeras. You know what the funny thing is that I found out that I don't have the appropriate item level
Oh,
to even do
well, I
Antorus.
guess that's what happens when you take a six
Uh,
month break.
yeah, so I've been doing LFR Tomb of Sargeras,
Okay.
which has been real fun.
All right. So
Because
new
you
experience for
said
you as well.
new, yeah, all of that was a new experience. I've already cleared it on LFR, like probably in about an hour and a half or so
Okay.
to do it. So went through it. You do actually have to know mechanics for Sargeras. Found
Right.
out.
Yeah.
That was it. Was there was a little bit of a meltdown going on
Yeah.
in
That'll
my
happen.
LFR. So yeah, but I mean, for comparison, for anybody who knows World of Warcraft, the last time that I raided, Gul'dan was the final raid boss
Yeah.
at the time. So that
I
was the last
mean,
time.
yeah, I feel like he's been the final raid boss a couple times. So,
Well, yeah,
uh, yeah. So World of Warcraft
yeah.
7.3.5 hit this week. We weren't necessarily expecting it. We heard near the end of last week that the release candidate had hit the PTRs, and everyone's like, "Wow, this is coming really, really soon." And it actually dropped this Tuesday. Pretty long maintenance. But game feels pretty stable. I mean, at least to me, I haven't seen anything happening.
Oh, yeah. Like I logged in yesterday, did not have any problems. It's not like what was it, 8 years ago when a
Right, yeah.
patch would drop on a Tuesday and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm not playing till Saturday
Yeah, and
because the
everything would
servers would
just
just
break.
be, yeah,
Right,
and the servers would be unstable. You'd log in and have like a 2 second, like 2 second lag,
right. Yeah. So
which was
servers
horrendous.
servers
So,
are good, servers are stable.
yep,
And they added a lot of things. So we're not going to cover everything because there's a lot of little changes in the background that won't really affect most people. But a scaling world. Let's talk about that because I think that affects a lot of, not only the more casual players, but also maybe the not so casual players, but the ones we refer to as altaholics, people that love to
you mean
level up
you
multiple
mean you mean
characters.
I feel like you're talking about
I
me.
think I think I am talking about you. It's definitely possible. So every zone in Kalimdor, the Eastern Kingdoms, Outland, Northrend, Pandaria, and Draenor now use the level scaling system introduced in Legion. Um, Basically, what this means is as opposed to being on a linear sort of like breadcrumb path as you level, you can go spend time in the zones you like and you can skip a lot of the ones you don't. So
Yeah. And I
I'm
mean, it helps people because the system that they have right now, especially if you're using heirloom gear, which is gear that will just give you experience buffs. People were drastically outpacing the zones they were in
Right.
after they got into those zones for maybe, for the lower end stuff, maybe half an hour.
Right.
The higher end, the once you get into Outlands and so on, maybe it takes you a couple of hours to move through zones and whatnot. And so this really helps people that want to be able to experience the actual story that's going on in each of those zones if they like it. If you get in there and you're like, yeah, this is garbage, I don't care about this story, or I don't like this zone, you can just screw off and go to another zone instead.
So I mean, that sounds like a great thing for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
As someone that is not an altaholic, I really play one or two or three characters, which I know for some people that might seem like a lot, but it's really not. This change is not really going to affect me. But you know what? Who knows? Maybe at some point I will go ahead and roll up an alt and I can just skip a lot of the old zones, like a lot of the deserty zones, because I absolutely hate deserts. I hate dark zones, so I wasn't a big fan of Duskwood.
Oh, but Duskwood is so
No, so
good.
I can just skip all that and go hang out in Stranglethorn and, kill tigers.
I like the
And
fact now that towards the end of the 1 to 60, I don't have to spend it in either the Blasted Lands or Silithus because I
yep,
despise both zones with a
yeah,
great passion.
I agree completely. So what else dropped? Ulduar Time Walking. Did you do Ulduar?
I I did.
Okay.
I don't believe that I cleared it,
All right.
but I did do Alduar back in the day.
Ulduar, my second favorite raid that has ever come out in World of Warcraft. So I'm extremely excited to go back, maybe re-earn my firefighter achievement. Um, you know, go fail over and over again on Yogg-Saron because that was a super hard fight when you did Zero Light Yogg-Saron. Ulduar Time Walking is back, guys. That was a raid that released in Wrath of the Lich King. If you haven't seen it, definitely go see it. And if you were there when it first released, I'm sure you have some both fond and terrible memories. So it's going to be up to you whether or not you want to relive those again.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. Like I said, I never really got to experience a ton of it. It'll be nice to go in and actually be able to clear it, assuming that I get around to joining you guys in, some
Yeah.
more
Well, and assuming it
serious rating.
rotates in, before the next
Right.
time you take a break.
Yes.
Because these events, they spread them pretty far apart. I mean, we're talking like, I want to say 6 weeks or so before the event repeats itself.
Yep.
So this isn't something you can go in and do at any time, unfortunately. This is something they have on like a rotating schedule.
Right.
So guys, if you're planning on resubbing, to jump back into Ulduar, make sure you check that schedule. I'm sure you can find it somewhere online. I'm almost 100% sure it's not going on right now. So definitely don't resub right now, specifically for that,
Or I mean,
because
do it. Do it if you want and get
sure,
used to everything again. And
maybe level a new character.
hey, you can
I
check out
I
your new 20 slot backpack too,
I hear
right?
you don't have to go to Silithus anymore. So
Ah,
great news!
yes.
Great news! Oh my goodness! Finally, Blizzard is listening to us. Legendary items saw a pretty big change. Legendary items are some of the most powerful items in World of Warcraft, and they are also one of the most controversial items that they've come out with in a very, very long time. Extremely strong items. You can only equip two at a time. And for people that were interested in the end game, and it always comes down to this, there are two choices, choice one and choice two, and everything else is crap. And because it was completely luck driven, you have some people that get those two items as their first and second legendary, and then you have some people that have to sift through, 17 or 18 subpar legendaries before they finally get the two that they need. And
See, and it's funny. I have a whole one legendary across all characters,
sure,
and it happens to be the best one for elemental shamans, or at least at the time that it dropped, it was
right,
the
right.
shoulder.
Some
So
some people
yeah,
have all the luck, and then you've got some people that put in the time, put in the commitment to do a lot of raiding, and they never see these items. Well, now you can buy them. You can't buy a specific legendary, but you can buy basically a token that will give you a random legendary for your specialization. Takes 1,000 awakening essences. That's just a currency. I feel like you can probably get 1,000 of those. I want to say in maybe a week and a half. Uh, this is a great thing. I mean, I think it's a great thing. Now, of course, this is coming from someone that was one of the lucky ones, and my first two legendaries were the absolute best ones for my class. But I feel for the people that haven't gotten these legendaries yet. They've played countless hours into this game, chasing that one unicorn, never to see it drop. And that's a terrible feeling. So I'm glad.
I'll have to take your word for
Yeah, you're just like, oh, you got legendary guys. Oh, it's the best one ever.
it.
Anyways, these guys, they're gonna be able to buy their legendaries now that they need, because at this point, they have farmed it so much. There's probably only a few left on the drop table, and they'll be able to finish out their legendary set. Couple of other
And then
changes.
there's
Uh,
people like me who just come back and be like, "Yay! Now I can get all these legendaries."
yeah, yeah. Well, free legendaries are fun legendaries, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Couple other changes, mostly related to like dungeons, combat resurrections in dungeons. You can't now abuse. We have the Mythic Keystone tournament to thank for that, because everyone was bringing in 5 players with battle reses. So now they're basically capped like they are in a raid. Holiday dungeon starting at level 20. The selfie camera has some new backgrounds. Yay, I guess.
Yay!
Some balancing passes done on abilities for all classes that only affect the leveling process. So, great if you're leveling something. Completely neutral at level 110, which is the level cap. And possibly the most important change of this patch. Are you ready for this? Have you
I
looked at
thought
these
I
notes?
I thought maybe you were going to miss this one. I'm assuming it's the one I'm thinking of.
Uh, Items such as the Piccolo of Flaming Fire or Tickle Totem no longer function on targets outside the Instigator. I find it amazing that they use the word Instigator. The
Eh,
Instigator's party or raid group.
yeah, not what I was thinking, but that's fine.
Not what. Well, what were you thinking?
You're forgetting like one of the most important things. The
What am I
backpack now has
forgetting?
4 additional slots.
Oh my god, guys, the
The
backpack now
backpack.
has 4 additional slots. They finally figured out. I remember back at a BlizzCon a while back, people were like, why can't we get more backpack space? And one of the developers was talking about how the code for items is such an absolute mess that if they try to add more backpack slots, the world will explode, literally. All right.
Was this kind of like how SimCity could never be played offline?
Yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. As time goes on, technology changes, and they can finally figure out how to unravel the mess that is the code relating to equipment slots and backpack. And now we get 4 additional slots, but there's a catch.
If yes.
Yeah, there's a catch. What's the catch?
The catch is you have to have an authenticator bound to your account.
And if you don't already have that, shame on you. What are you doing? Get with the times. Get an authenticator. That way your stuff don't get jacked. Come on, guys.
You can download it to your phones, no problem. It works. I love it.
And 4 backpack slots.
Do it for the
Do it
bags.
for the bag space. Come on, guys. Jeez. All right. Well, that's about it for World of Warcraft. Uh, let's move on to something that you actually sent me a link for. I wanted to talk about Monster Hunter World next, but I think I'd rather talk about this
Came
more,
came
which
in with a
is,
late entry.
yeah, it came in with the late entry. Uh, Nintendo Labo, what the hell is this?
Uh, I don't know.
I don't know
It's
either, but
I like honestly, the best that I can figure it out is Nintendo's like, hey, let's let you design stuff that you can then have printed out on cardboard to make into 3D shapes so that it will somehow enhance the gaming.
I mean,
Like,
so
for example, there was like I saw there was a motorcycle one where
yeah,
you put the screen in the middle of like this kind of fake motorcycle. You put your handheld. I don't know. I don't have a Switch. You put your
yeah, but one of the controllers, one of the
one of the
Switch
controllers.
controllers, right?
You put them into like the handlebars, and you can
I think
twist the
they call them Joy
handlebar. And
Cons or something, right? Like
Joy-Con,
the
sure.
Joy-Con. There you go.
You can do that. You there was something to do with the house. I really didn't understand what was going on with the house
Yeah, there
one.
was like a Joy-Con in the chimney.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there was a fishing line one.
Look, let's
Yeah,
get down to brass tacks here. Nintendo has gone one step closer to literally printing money. Okay, you are literally.
yes.
So the way they're selling this is you can buy a variety kit, which is $70, and then you can buy the robot kit for $80. It literally has cardboard in it. You are
Is that what it is?
spending,
Because
yes,
because
you are
when I
spending
first saw the
70
video,
or
it
$80
looked like it was
on
supposed to be some kind of
cardboard.
printing thing.
So you can't actually print it. I think in the video where it shows at the very beginning, you can see them kind of printing the designs on the
Yeah.
cardboard. I think that's supposed to be like, them printing it and delivering it
Okay.
to you.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
you're literally you're spending money on cardboard. And
Fantastic.
I saw this and I was like, my first thought is this is so Nintendo. Like this is what they do. They do something amazing and the Switch. And then they're like, "Man, how can we top this?" And this year we're getting cardboard play kits that release on all days they could have chosen. Did you catch the release date for this?
It was 420, wasn't it?
Fucking
Now I think
420. Are
about
you
it.
for real?
Yeah. You know what? I didn't catch it at first, and then it just popped into my mind, and apparently that just seeped into my subconscious.
Oh, it releases on 420. So potheads everywhere that have a Switch, you're gonna have a
Rejoice.
great time. I do think this is gonna be great for kids. I'm sure they are gonna have a hell of a good time playing with this. Parents are gonna be able to build these little contraptions with their kids. So I mean, Nintendo does what they, do, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, with them having moved to like the more, well, we won't say casual, but we'll say more family oriented
sure.
play style. Yeah, it's great. You know what? Like if my nephews ever get one, I'm sure that I have fun building it with him and go from there. But this as something for myself, even if I had a Switch, nah, it's a huge pass. And the
Yeah.
majority prevailing opinion I've been seeing online is, yeah, it looks like it'd be fun for about 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, like they released the amiibos, and that was obviously huge, and I can't really remember any other time that they've gone into this pseudo sort of like toy market to add value to
Right,
their software properties where they're actually shipping another physical product.
right.
But I guess that was enough, and now they're literally saying, look, these people will buy anything, no matter how overpriced we make it. Let's send them cardboard.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. I saw some of the games. Look, they look neat, but they also look like tech demos.
Yes.
I
The only
mean,
one that I looked at and went, hey, that looks like it could be fun was the robot one.
right, and I gotta be honest, I feel like you could do the exact thing just by like holding the Joy-Cons in your hand.
Yep, but you
Like,
don't have the
but you
backpack.
don't have, the $80 cardboard backpack. That's immersion breaking. I mean, let's
I
be
feel
honest.
I
It's just
feel
not gonna
like
be the
I could
same.
just but you know what? I feel like I could just put a backpack on and put like one of those exercise straps, tie one end to each of the
No,
Joy-Cons, and just
no,
there we go, got a backpack.
no,
I'm a
no.
robot now.
No, it has to be cardboard. All right, it has to be cardboard or it's not
Okay,
going to be
fine.
the
I'll
same.
I'll I'll take one of the boxes of the many things that I get when I'm shopping online, and I'll
And you'll
run
just
the
like tape it
bank
to your
through the.
back, like,
Yes,
yes, tape it to
yes.
your back
This
and
is
you're good to go.
DIY Labo.
Oh,
Okay.
that's what they said. DIY Labo. So, real quick, we're just gonna go over this. RC car, fishing rod, house, motorbike, piano. That's what's in the variety set. And then the robot kit, as we talked about, is, a giant backpack and you can pretend to be a robot.
And I like how they're not even like, hey, just buy this one thing, you get everything. They're like, no, if you want everything, 2 packs.
Yeah, $150. Guys, you can almost
Is
buy
that,
a brand new
yeah.
console for that much.
Yep.
I mean, that's a lot of scratch for some cardboard. People are gonna buy it.
Oh,
What
parents
can
are going
we
to buy it for
do?
their kids.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are gonna be plenty of adults that buy it for themselves, because
I will not be one.
Nintendo can do no wrong, for a lot of people. Speaking of Nintendo, finally we get
I,
to this.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
longtime IP that has been shackled unfairly to Nintendo's handheld consoles is finally making its return to the living room. Of course, we're talking about Monster Hunter World, coming out
Or,
on the 26th for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Dan, what the hell do you know about Monster Hunter?
not a lick.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. So, Monster Hunter, not a huge series here in the West, but it is absolutely massive in Japan on the scale of, maybe not quite Mario and Pokemon, but it is one of those titles in Japan where Nintendo's like, man, we've had an off quarter. We need to sell, more 3DSs. Let's just have them release a new Monster Hunter and watch sales of the console just absolutely jump.
So
Uh,
this is basically Nintendo's version of Yakuza for PlayStation.
I guess I never played Yakuza.
Neither have
Um,
I. I just see there seems to be one like every couple of months.
yeah, well, Monster Hunter, they spend a lot of time on these games, and they tend to be relatively far and few between in numbered releases, but they do quite a few remasters. That is something they do pretty often with Monster Hunter. So you'll have like Monster Hunter 3, then you'll have Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, or you'll have Monster Hunter
Mm,
Cross, and then you'll have Monster Hunter Double Cross.
so the Street Fighter
Um,
way of doing things.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have Monster Hunter Ultra DX 32, so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
Guys, if you haven't checked out this series, and you're a fan of the loot grind, you're a fan of games that have amazing, sublime, complex systems where it's easy to pick up but amazingly difficult to master, this is a game for you. Basically, and Dan, you already know you're going to be playing this, with me. So I'm going to try to sell
Yeah,
you
so
on
you
it one
keep
more time.
so you keep telling me.
Um, so basically, in Monster Hunter, it is a sort of like a hunter gatherer simulator, not in the way that, you're either a hunter or a gatherer, but you're both the hunter and the gatherer. So you go out.
Wait. And
Wait,
what are you hunting and gathering?
that's a good question.
Oh,
You are hunting monsters and gathering fireflies. No. Well, okay. Yes, you are gathering fireflies, but you're also gathering monster parts. And you're using these monster parts to fashion amazing new weapons and amazing new pieces of armor so that you can go take on even bigger monsters. And that, that's sort of the treadmill of the game. Um,
So would it be fair to say that Horizon Zero Dawn maybe takes after Monster Hunter a little bit? Because that's
uh,
that's kind of what's popping to my mind.
I think maybe a little bit, but I never felt like the creation system in Horizon Zero Dawn was a central theme. You were always making, like arrows
Right.
and grenades, and it was basically relegated specifically to your ammunition.
Right.
So it seemed more like, sort of like a side activity that you had to do, not necessarily one that you wanted to do. Whereas in Monster Hunter, this is, no pun intended, this is the meat and bones of the game right here. All right, it's killing
I see what you did
monsters.
there.
You see what I did there?
Uh,
Killing monsters, grabbing their bones, taking their skin, making some badass armor out of it, some amazing new weapons. And that is
so you're a horrible person, is what I'm hearing. You're running
you.
around
Oh
hunting
my
these monsters that are
God.
just minding their own
Oh, PETA
business.
hates you.
Ah,
If you hate PETA, buy this game and tag them in gameplay videos. They will get so upset.
do
And
they legitimately get upset about it?
I I don't know. They got upset over Pokemon. Like, you remember a while back they were like, "Pokemon, this is a game where you fight little monsters and this is a terrible thing because we're teaching our kids to fight animals." Did you hear about
Yes.
that? You remember
Yes.
that,
Yep.
right?
Yep. I did.
And
That and
they made that
Mario and
terrible game. Or
yep.
okay, so maybe it was a Mario game with like
There
the
was a
Tanuki suit.
terrible Mario game. Yes.
Yeah, with the Tanuki suit.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I don't know what their stance is on Monster Hunter, but beyond the hunting and gathering, by far one of the deepest combat systems in any games out there. Not quite as punishing as something like Dark Souls, but the depth is there. And it's co-op. And when you add a friend, the number of things you can do within the confines of this combat system is almost limitless. And no small part due to the fact that friendly fire is active wherever you're going.
Yeah.
So,
So what you're saying is you want to bring me into this so I can continuously shoot you in the back.
you know what? You do what you got to do. I'm gonna have fun even if you are sitting there shooting me in the back the entire time. But you've got like giant swords that you can uppercut your friend with, and you'll actually send them flying. Like they'll jump on the sword blade and they'll fly into the air, and then they can mount this giant monster and start stabbing it in the back. If you see a monster charging at a friend of yours and you're like, man, my friend is about to get squashed, if you're fast enough, you can actually hit them out of the way of the monster with your weapon. Sure, they'll still take a little bit of damage, maybe, and
Oh,
maybe be a little bit disoriented. But
I thought you were just going to say you were going to put them out of their misery first.
well, like I said, you do you, man. You do you. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna go kill monsters. If you feel like you need to kill me, you can go ahead and do that.
I just remember the only reason why I say that is I remember Red Dead Redemption back in the day. They had, friendly fire was on out in the world, and
Hmm.
every single time I played it with my friends, it would always devolve into all of us killing each other.
Yeah, yeah. You're not playing Monster Hunter with me. Sorry, bro.
Mission accomplished.
Oh my goodness. But yes, Monster Hunter 9 days from now. Plenty of videos on YouTube. We'll actually put some in the links on this video as well as anything else we cover. Guys, if you're into fighting games, if you're into Dark Souls, if you're into, Diablo, if you're into that loot grind, definitely check out Monster Hunter Worlds coming out
That
soon.
loot grind.
That loot grind. So this is actually the initial story that prompted me to send you an email and be like, Dan, we need to do something tonight.
Right.
We need to write about this. Now, guys, take this with a huge grain of salt. All of the information that we're about to go over is information that was leaked from a slideshow. The slideshow has been terribly redacted, so we don't know any of the companies that this involves. Basically, all
I
identifying information has
feel
been taken out.
I feel confident based on the gameplay slideshows they're showing.
Okay, confident that it's real?
Confident that if it is real, I know which the company is, or at
Well,
the very least, which company it was being presented to.
and we'll get into that. Um, but basically, what we're talking about here and what they're talking about in no fewer than 50 slides. If this is a hoax, it's a hoax that took a lot of work. So over 50 slides, we're talking about AI systems that you can implement in, virtually any sort of game. Most likely for something like your MMOs, or your player versus player first person shooters that manipulate player interaction and gameplay in order to induce the sales of microtransactions. All right, do you have an example you want to give here?
In terms of a game that this would be used in, or
Where can you see this fitting in, and do you think this is how would this even work?
well, so after I read it, the main place that I could see it working, or the main place that I think it would be ideally targeted to, is the free to play games. So your games
Hmm.
like World of Warships, World of Tanks, games that you download for free, can play for free. There's no cost whatsoever.
Hmm.
Um, and more specifically, we'll use World of Tanks because they have a legitimate pay to win system built into the game,
Okay.
where you can buy shells for your tank. Like you can buy ammunition that is literally better than what people have just standard.
Right.
So that's where this kind of comes from, right? And I could see companies that make World of Tanks, maybe not them specifically, but other companies similar, that could go, you know what, we're not generating enough revenue from our in-game purchases, so we're gonna, just tweak things a little, make people frustrated, and then go, hey, you're really frustrated, here's something that'll make you all better.
Here's the cure, man. I got the
Yeah,
cure. You got the
yeah,
ills. I got the cure.
yeah,
Just like a dollar, two, but keep in mind that 5 minutes later you might need another.
yeah.
So I'll sell you 10 for $15.
And the
Eh,
first taste is free.
The first taste is free. All right. So this AI, there's some pretty amazing examples, um, that, allegedly they have done with this AI when they've ran tests, um, with, sort of like maybe a focus group or something like that. Going and so far as this AI spawning what appears to be a player character, okay, and then this, fake player character sending messages to actual characters within the game and saying, hey, I got this chest. I need a key to open it, but I'm not a high enough level to get the key. Do you have a key? And the higher level character says, yeah, man, come on over. I'll go ahead and open it for you. And the AI character will walk over there and open the chest in front of this player character. And the AI will check the player character's gear, the one that offered the key. And right in front of that character, from that chest, the AI character that doesn't even really exist will get an item that is better than the one that the player character has equipped. And maybe they'll act excited. Wow, check this out, man. Look at what I got. Thanks so much for letting me borrow your key. And then the actual guy will click on it and be like, "Holy crap. This guy bought this, epic loot chest for $2 and got a better item than I have. So, what's that guy going to do? Well, he's going to go buy a loot chest probably." Um,
Or go and complain about it on the forums.
right,
One of the
or go and complain about it on the forums. Another thing that they're looking to do is, matching players against higher level players in PvP situations. Oh my God. I can't believe I actually read this. In
Yeah,
order to
yeah.
induce an artificial frustration event. And after this event, the player will become more susceptible to buying performance. I guess we're going to go with performance enhancing
Sure.
microtransaction boosts. So basically, we're going to make you have a shitty time so that you spend more money.
See, this one I feel like they would have a much more difficult time implementing, just purely on the basis of almost every PvP game that I have played with, whether it's shooters or whether it's, say, the Battlegrounds in World of Warcraft, Heroes of the Storm, all of them have, or they attribute basically a level to all of the opposing characters. So you know what level they are.
Right.
Uh, so that one, I feel like they would have a really hard time getting this out into the wild and making it work because a lot of these companies are already struggling with trying to do matchmaking versus against skill and matchmaking versus latency, and they're trying to
Right.
find these sweet spots. So for them to go in and artificially create this level gap, we'll say,
Sure.
and intentionally do it, I find hard to believe or just would be difficult for them to implement and get away with in general.
So I think I agree with you as far as AAA console games are concerned.
True, yes,
I
yes.
do think for the most part, the people that are out there buying PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones, they've got their ears to the ground a little bit more about these types of things, and they're kind of on the lookout for them. But we also know that, I'm just going to name a company, EA, for example, makes a ton of money from their mobile-based games. They own PopCap or, whatever that company is that creates like the Soda Frenzy and Candy Crush and all these games. And there are a lot of weird PvP games where you like build up a castle and then you go and you attack somebody else's castle all in your mobile phone.
Oh, yes, I do remember those. I have played those.
Right. So
And then I get
this
bored because I'm not willing to spend money on them.
exactly, this seems like just a shoo-in. This is it seems like this is perfectly, what it's matched to is let's make these whales. That's what they call them in the industry. Those are the people that spend a lot of money. Let's make these whales feel even stronger by matching them with lower level players, and then let's run up the odds against these lower level players and try to force them into becoming the whales because they get so frustrated, but they don't want to quit playing the game.
Right.
Uh, those are only two things. There's even more.
Yeah, I saw one. I didn't specifically see it in the slides because, to be honest, I didn't read through all the slides. I read through a good portion of them
I
to get an
understand there
idea of
was
what's
over
going on,
50
but
of them.
yeah.
We're just gonna
So
touch on this because I did not read in depth every single slide either. There were, probably 8 to 10 of them that involved using the Wi-Fi strength from your mobile device in order to create sort of a map or a layout of your house based on signal strength. I'm not sure how a company would end up using that in order to push microtransactions. But for some reason they dedicated 8 slides to it. So
yep,
that's something they do. They call it 3D mapping uses using homes.
yep.
Yeah, I don't know what that's for. There are two other things though that I wanted to cover on this. Number one is a game's ability to use your microphone. And did you read about these? Did you read about this?
Not in this specific instance
Okay.
of this post.
And this is one of these, I kind of stood back and I looked at it and I said, maybe this is a hoax. Um, but maybe it's not. So the first off is they're saying that they can use your microphone while you're playing this video game in order to monitor your emotional state. And based on your tone of voice or, any other number of factors, they will then prompt you with an ad to make an in-game purchase when psychologically, based on these cues, you are most susceptible to it.
Yeah. I saw other ones that they figured out if your tapping on your keyboard increases after a negative
Yes.
event happens, that you are more likely to be frustrated, and therefore you're more susceptible to their tactics for getting you to pay.
Exactly. And, I think as a PC gamer, this is something I do all the time. Like when I get frustrated, you better believe I'm, hitting the key as hard as I can, saying, "Why did you not move forward when I tell you to?"
Yep.
Or, I'm banging on my desk. I'm doing something like that. So, I mean, from a standpoint of, is this a good indicator? I think they hit the nail on the head. It absolutely is.
Yep.
But do we really want our video games monitoring us like this and, basically trying to manipulate us?
Well, and one that I now, and this is one of the ones that I didn't see in the slides because I didn't look at every single one of them, but I saw in the comments section was one person uh, described how they read that there was the AI was able to discern if a person was female, and then somehow after learning that the person is female, discern if they're in on their menstrual cycle or
Right.
not. And
Yep.
therefore, if they're on their menstrual cycle, they are more likely to buy stuff. Now,
Right. Based
that,
on, I think it said based on like forceful suggestion.
yes. Yeah.
It was basically saying, at least this is how I read it, and you guys will have the slides linked below. You can read them and, make what of them you will. Basically saying the meaner you are to a woman that is on her period, the angrier she will get, and the more likely she is to spend money buying these microtransactions.
Which is just, God, like, women I know just have such a rough go of it being gamers in general. And now you have the companies that are making the games that they're playing targeting them as well, and not just other players. And it's just, God.
I don't know. I read that one, and that was the first one where I was like, "This has got to be a hoax, right?
Yeah.
This can't
Like,
be real.
God, I would hope so, because it's
Who
just,
thinks about this?"
yeah.
Um, but there it is, in some leaked slides that obviously we can't verify their authenticity. We just don't know. But it sounds like EA.
Yeah. So that's where the third and fourth slide that you
hmm
see,
hmm
that looks a lot like some Anthem to me.
It does.
Yeah.
And some other people brought that up as well. It looks a lot like some, I'm looking at the screenshots, and I know we've had that one Anthem trailer, and I don't remember this particular scene within the Anthem trailer. Um,
But it has also been, 7 months
sure,
since we first saw it
it
too.
has. It's
So
been an extremely long time. So guys, we're not saying it's EA. We're
I
not
mean,
saying it's Anthem.
it could have been a separate company presenting this to
Yeah,
EA, and
absolutely.
they just
Using
grabbed
their
some
assets.
screenshots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So we don't know. Um, like I said, we'll link it all in the description below. And you can think of it what you will. You can make your own decisions.
and we'll all just maybe hope that it was a hoax, and we can
Yes.
all just go on with our lives.
Yes, continue moving on with patents that we already know EA has for pushing people towards these microtransaction purchases. We're not even
Yep.
going to get into that because we've already gone about an hour. It has been that long. But is there anything else you wanted to cover before we kind of signed out?
No, I don't think so. Just I hope everybody has enjoyed our kind of inaugural podcast here.
We'll be having another one of those in 3 years, hopefully.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sounds about right for our timelines.
oh, jeez. All right, guys. Well, this has been David and
And Dan.
Dan, and once again, midnight launch. Go ahead and like and subscribe below. I think that's what all the YouTubers say. And
The
we will, all
YouTubers.
the YouTubers, we will talk to you guys later.
Have a good one.